Welcome to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann, the podcast for people-centric leaders, business owners, and HR professionals who know that people are at the heart of business success. Join me and industry experts as we explore the key aspects of building a thriving company, sharing cutting-edge strategies, impactful insights, and the latest trends to help you ignite your business growth. It's time to rev up your leadership, rev up your success. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Rev Up Your Business. Today, my guest is Charlotte Kirby, and we're going to be talking about fostering community in the co-working space. We're going to talk about the importance of bringing people together in this remote and digital world that we find ourselves in today. So let me tell you about Charlotte. Charlotte Kirby is the founder and CEO of Village Hive Coworking, with 3 thriving locations in Markham, North York, and Midtown Toronto. Since opening the first space in 2016, Charlotte has fostered a vibrant, collaborative community for professionals, entrepreneurs, and remote workers. In addition to her work with the Village Hive, she does consulting work partnering with landlords and asset owners to integrate co-working into their commercial properties. And as well, she helps new co-working operators to open their own spaces. Charlotte is passionate about creating spaces that inspire connection, creativity, and growth, making her a driving force in the co-working industry. I am delighted to have Charlotte join me today. Welcome, Charlotte. I'm so delighted to have you join us today.
I'm so happy to be here, Hilda. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great. We've been talking about this, I think, for almost a year now, because every
Yeah,
time I
maybe
catch
longer.
up with you. And then I thought, okay, September's here. I got to get you nailed down for a date so that we can get you on the podcast. So welcome.
Amazing. Thank you.
You've been in the co-working space, creating opportunities for people since 2016, and remote work is on the rise, obviously thanks to COVID and other aspects. Tell us more about what that means for people who are interested in co-working.
Absolutely. So, going back to 2016, when I first opened my co-working space in Markham, we actually had more entrepreneurs than anything. In fact, I don't think our first sort of remote workers started maybe after the first 6 months. And that was all kind of new to me. All of a sudden, there were people coming to me and saying, I work from home, I work for an international company, and I'm feeling lonely and I'm feeling kind of like I'm lacking social skills because I've been sitting at home working. And so that was kind of my first experience with remote work was people coming in working for international companies. Well,
Mhm.
now it's not just international companies. The company that maybe you work for in downtown Toronto, or that's commutable, is now actually maybe gotten rid of their office space, and you find yourself working remote and maybe just going down to your headquarters once a month or so. The hybrid work model where maybe you're going in once a week. But on those days when you're working from home, some people just find that they either just can't because of that loneliness factor. Others are distracted by maybe their spouses or partners who are also working from home. And as you can imagine, we don't all have offices in our houses. I mean, some people are lucky too, but for the most part, people are working from their kitchen table. So they want a place where they can come in and work in a real professional office space and meet other people. So I've really seen, and especially now after COVID, the rise in remote work is huge, and the number of remote workers at our co-working spaces has increased like exponentially. along with entrepreneurs still coming in, but we are finding there's more and more remote workers. At our Midtown location in Toronto, a lot of the people just live 5 minutes away from us. They're living in condos, they're too small, they're feeling isolated, and they just want to get out, go for a walk, and actually have a place to say they're going for the day. They're coming in to work and meet other people and have a professional environment.
That's cool. That's very interesting. I remember when I first started my company, and I mean, I've done different companies, and I found that if I had to work in my home for the whole week, I just would go stir crazy, right?
Mhm.
So I always made sure that I did some kind of outside networking or met somebody for lunch because it just broke up the week. And
It
so the
does.
idea of a remote work location really appealed to me. And I guess that leads into that kind of next question. What are some of the benefits that you see for co-working space?
Yeah, so benefits for co-working spaces, I mean, there's so many. There's benefits, as I mentioned, for the remote worker. It's a place to come and meet new people and escape the four walls of your home. We have offices. So if you need to jump in an office to have a meeting with somebody, you can do that. If you just want to work in the open co-working space where there's other people around, we also have that. We have membership. So you can come in, have 24/7 access. So not everybody works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So having a co-working space that you can stay late at or come in on the weekends and get out of your home and have a, like I said, a professional space to work is definitely something that's advantageous. Now for entrepreneurs, even more so because they're hubs of innovation and collaboration. So coming into a co-working space, you're getting to know all the other people that are coming in, and all of a sudden you're finding people that you can work with or people that may be able to help you with your business. So anything from human resources to cybersecurity to marketing, there's lots of, it's this ecosystem of startups and businesses that are there to help one another. But I think, and one of the greatest thing about co-working spaces and that I'm very proud of at the Village Hive is my community managers. They are they're the first people you see when you walk into the space, and they're there to be supportive, collaborative, introduce you to other people. So even if you are an introvert, they're there to make sure that you're getting to know other people in the space. And I'm just I could not run my spaces the way I do without my staff and just having those people there to make sure that everything is seamless, no matter like if you're coming in for a meeting or you're just coming in to work for the day, keeping the space tidy for you so that you're just coming in and focusing and doing your work. If you're at home, you're thinking about your laundry and oh my gosh, I have to get dinner ready and
Not
oh
just
maybe I should
thinking
go pick
about it,
some weeds.
doing
Yeah.
it between between calls. Okay, it's time to throw it into the dryer.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I, when I used to work from home, I always felt guilty at the end of the day if I hadn't done stuff around the house, because quite often I would just sit there and work. I didn't get distracted so much. It was the guilt of not being distracted, I suppose, and
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
stuff done around the house. And, husband comes home and where's dinner? But I've been working. So I think just having an excuse to get away from, dividing that professional life and personal life. And I'm not saying like remote work and working from home can be great and it works for some people. It didn't for me, and that's why I opened my space. Selfishly, I needed a space to work, so I had to start my own space.
Okay, so some people need that energy that they get from being around people. And then other people don't want that. They like the being able to hunker down and concentrate and maybe connect with people, but only on their own terms when they feel like it,
Yes.
right? And do you find that in your co-op space, you can almost say this is the one that needs to be out in the main area networking with people, and this one really likes to either only work in a single office space themselves, but then go out for coffee and chat with people, or
Yes.
possibly sharing the same office with somebody else who's quiet.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so we try to adapt to the needs of the people that are coming into our spaces. So at our North York location, we had some smaller offices that we used for phone booths. But then we found some people were coming in and saying, you know what? Can I rent that by the month? Because, and it's a, small space,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's what they wanted. They wanted a place where they can hunker down and not get disrupted by others around them.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. But then they do enjoy coming out to the events, the social events, or just coming and getting a glass of water, grabbing a coffee, and interacting with people. But then they can go back and hide into their small office. And so we've actually, even at our Eglinton location within the office building that we're there, we've built smaller offices because of the demand for people being on calls all day long,
Yeah.
and wanting to just kind of focus on their work, but they also want to be able to come out, go to a kitchen and meet people. So yeah, we've really had to adapt to what the needs are of people, like Zoom calls. I can't believe people are on calls all day long.
I find if I almost need to get smarter instead of booking something at, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, is book it for 45 minutes, but even start on the half hour. Because then you
Yes.
feel this like mentally you think if you start on the hour, you end on the hour. And I have a Fitbit, so I like at the end of the day to know that I've at least walked my hourly numbers 5 times a day. It's
Yes.
terrible
What
when you
are
don't.
your hourly numbers, Hilda?
Well, well, 250 gets you, a one brownie point, and I like to see it, but on average, I guess six times out of the 9 times a day, I will do it. But it's terrible when you see only 3 times during the day. That means you sat on your butt
I know.
so long with so many conversations and stuff like that. I like how you say the benefit of a co-op working space is the fact that there are other entrepreneurs there, and they bounce off each other's ideas and they support each other, because I think part of the need that business owners have is that energy you get from building but not alone, and
Exactly.
conversing with others. I know when I'm on the phone with people and we're collaborating, my energy level gets going. My thought process of strategically planning for myself or helping somebody else plan, it's so amazing. So
It
I can
is.
see the real benefit of the co-op, and I wanted to share the nuances of those people who really are more need to have more people around them and those that don't. But I would say they want people, but on their own terms. My
Yes.
son used a phrase called social energy. I don't know if you've heard that
I
phrase
have.
before,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And one day he and we went out together and spent time together. And normally he's on his phone and he needs his quiet time at times. And this particular day, we just had this wonderful day from the beginning. We got in the car, we went to the museum, we had dinner till we dropped off in the evening back home. We each only spent maybe 15 minutes in total on our phones.
Wow.
And we had a
That's amazing.
great bonding day. And at
Okay.
the end of the day, like he came down at 1 o'clock at night and said, thanks for a wonderful day. And I
Wow.
commented the next day, I says, that was really great because we had all this time to talk about a whole bunch of different things. And then he said, "Yeah, my social energy was pretty good that day." I thought it was actually amazing. I've never seen a day like that. And he's one of those introverts, and I think
Yeah,
we need to appreciate the differences that we all have in terms of our social energy. As
we
I like that
do.
phrase because we only have so much sometimes, and and I think the co-op space can really give you a kind of a blend of that to so that you're not constantly feeling like you're either drained or you're overloaded.
Exactly. Because you can, if you're working from home, you can literally not see anybody other than on a screen like all week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it gets really lonely. Well, the fact that your son recognizes that and the need for that is amazing. I think that's wonderful too. And I think younger people are starting to realize that they
Mhm.
do need to get off their phones and go out and be with other people. So I
I
was
think,
worried about that with the generation of,
yeah, yeah.
everybody's glued to their phones, and I think it still is a problem. But like isolation, isolation is what I forget what the fact is, but it's like smoking so many cigarettes a day, like it's really bad for your health.
It is because you have a sedentary life,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really.
That's what I
Um,
love about co-working. Like it's not only just amazing for the people that come to our spaces, but there's actually this whole co-working global community where we all support each other. In fact, each month there's a co-working combos that we join, and so it's co-working operators from all over the world who join and share best practices. Join on the Zoom call and share best practices, and so even as a co-working operator, you don't feel alone in your job and what you do. I mean, I never feel alone because I've got people all around me, but it's just nice to know that there's that community as well of co-working operators that are just as passionate as you are about creating community and building community.
well, I know when you and I finally caught up to kind of discuss what the focus of today's thing was. I just love the fact that you've been doing co-op for such a long time now that
Hmm.
now you've expanded that to help asset owners as well as property owners find bringing in people to do co-op spaces, and now that's, even as you say, kind of going across Canada and globally, and now you're consulting on that. So I find that was just an amazing growth for you, and such an
Yeah.
amazing opportunity, really, because now you can add value for those people who are listening and thinking, hmm, co-working, how
Yeah.
does that work? Because I think, not necessarily getting into the dollars and cents, but if you can share the kind of different packages that people can do, because maybe they'll say, hey, that's a price point I can afford. I can come in just X days a week or whatever. So share some of those
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah,
features.
so many options. And I think this is why, actually, kind of going back to commercial real estate and asset owners and property owners, landlords, I think offering people want flexibility. And so that's what co working spaces offer. So, if you are an asset owner, own a commercial property or an office that's sitting there vacant, it's very difficult to bring somebody in to sign a 5 or 10 year lease anymore because we need to adapt to the way work is right now, and that's flexible. And
Hmm.
so, with our offerings at our co working space, we have everything from, coming in, just dropping in for a day pass. So, even if it's once a week, we have a lot of members that just drop in once a week just to get out of their homes, or maybe their children work close or go to school close to our co working space and they don't want to drive all the way, if they're downtown Toronto, drive all the way back to Mississauga and then back downtown. So they
Hmm.
come and use our space just for a day a week. So it just starting point $25 to come in for the day. Or if you just need a office to come meet with a client for a couple hours, again, 25 an hour to come and meet with a client. Or you can rent an office for the day. And then our hourly or our monthly rates, you can get a dedicated desk for at this time 325, and that gives you 24/7 access to our co-working space. So there's lots of different price points and flexibility, and I think the biggest thing is just not having to sign a multiple month or yearly space or rent to come in and use a co-working space. And that allows you to go to, other co-working spaces as well. So maybe one day you live in Markham, you're like, you know what, I feel like meeting some friends downtown Toronto, so I wonder where I can work for the day downtown and
Mhm.
then go out for dinner. And then maybe another day it's, oh, I've got to meet a client in Mississauga. Well, there's more and more co-working spaces everywhere. And
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
that it's flexible and, daily or monthly prices versus long-term is, I think, what's driving the growth of co-working too.
Now, I know some companies who've actually, they've got 15 staff now. They've gone and basically partner or leased space with a co-working company and rented, a certain section, and that gives them the fluidity. Given that a lot of companies now are only working remotely most of the time, and people only come in so many days a week,
Mhm.
so they do that. Is that something that you can share more about? Maybe you do it, maybe other companies that do, because I'm sure people are thinking, well, what about this? Because I got 10 people, and that I take over all the
Yeah.
whole place.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're finding is we have a number of groups that just like that will bring their team together. They rent sometimes a couple offices, maybe our boardroom and an office, and they'll come in twice a week, for example,
Hmm.
and use the space, and then they work remotely beyond that, or they have team meetings. We have a large event space in our Eglinton's center, or Eglinton space in Midtown Toronto, and we have companies that come in and take over that whole space. There's breakout rooms, there's a kitchen. So they could rent it once a week if they wanted. And we have people that are doing that. So it's a great way. And they get to know us, the staff. They get to know other
Yeah,
people in the
yeah,
co
yeah,
working space. And
yeah.
they know what to expect when they come there. They know that we have large TV monitors and whiteboards, a fridge, a coffee maker, breakout rooms, and all of this that they're quite happy to come in and use the space and then leave, and they don't have to pay the bills, they don't have to pay the internet, they don't have to pay the cleaning. We take care of everything. They just come land and we take care of
Land.
them.
I like how
And
you say
they
that.
Yeah,
Land.
and then they
Yeah.
just so we do see a lot of that, and we're seeing a lot of repeat customers too, because A, they get comfortable with their spaces, and B, like I said before, I have amazing staff who treat them like royalty, and they appreciate that. They don't want to think about anything.
Is the community manager a concept that you created or learned about through other co-working owners?
So community managers are, I would say, at most indie co-working spaces, and even some of the larger, more executive offices that kind of call themselves co-working spaces. The difference, I think, is the more small, like the smaller, independently owned co-working spaces, where it could be the owner operator that is the community manager,
Hmm.
or like for me, I'm just been so fortunate that my staff treat my business like it's their business. And you don't get that if you're working for a large executive office.
Yeah, yeah,
You walk in, there's a receptionist, and they say hi, maybe, but that's really all they do. I think in co-working, I've learned from my colleagues in the like around the world who own co-working, the smaller co-working spaces, is that hospitality, we call ourselves, our industry is hospitality, and I think that's it's not real estate, it's not office, it's hospitality, and I
yeah,
think that's the difference. And
yeah.
so I've learned over the past 7 years how important it is to have the right people there for your members and your guests that are coming in.
Yeah. And I like how you phrase that, hospitality, because when I hear the word hospitality, then I think about you making me feel like I'm getting a good experience. And it's so important to feel a sense of belonging, right? And the sense of
Yes.
community. So you're like, the focus of this year's season 6 is I want to help listeners who care about creating people centric workplaces, being people centric leaders. And that's just exactly what you're doing. You've hired people who are people centric in their giving. And to use that term hospitality makes me, as a potential person coming to to the co-working space feel a sense of belonging, that I'm going to find a sense of community right from the owners of the co-working space to the people that I will meet in the co-working space, right?
Definitely, yes. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful too. It's about enabling and your members also, and getting everybody to contribute. So it's always a wonderful thing if we walk into our space and somebody else has emptied the dishwasher. Like, wow. Or, and things I appreciate. I'm not always in my Markham space because it's a smaller space, but my members they're happy to help out, which is so wonderful. Like, because they treat the space like it's their home. And that's the first thing I always tell members, especially when they come to my Markham space. You can see the brick in it's an old schoolhouse, and I always tell people, just make yourself at home, because it is very cozy and warm here. So it's about helping people, but also making them also feel like they can help themselves and help others as well.
And I recognize the workspace because I've been to your Markham schoolhouse. And even the first time when I was exploring the idea of a co-working space, that sense of community, I still remember some of the people who I met there, and they were so friendly, and they were encouraging, people to come and be part of the co-working space and stuff. So I recognize the space, and I was going to mention it. You're in your Markham space. And I was so looking forward to the one you were going to open very close to home. And of course,
Yes.
that deal fell through. But are there other ones that you are planning to open in the near future?
Yeah, lots of irons in the fire right
Okay,
now. It's very exciting. So
but
I
until
originally,
it's signed,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't.
exactly. Can't say right now, but yeah, I'm looking at a couple other locations, maybe in sort of the York Durham area, but
Mhm.
as well working with companies, asset owners that want to bring co-working into their portfolio that they already have. So they have a business, but they have some extra office space. What
Yeah,
can they
yeah,
do with
yeah.
that? And so
Mhm.
helping them do feasibility studies and see if having a co-working space within their commercial building would make sense.
Yeah,
So looking
that's
at
really
that
good.
in other cities in Ontario.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to talk about one more aspect, and that's the use of co-working space from a social event networking perspective. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. So like you said before, some people just want to come in and get their work done and just come out once in a while, and others are there to socialize. And so we offer lots of opportunities for people to come out and meet one another. So everything from lunch and learns that are member led. So last month we had one of our members in North York do an amazing workshop on AI that just blew my mind, and so other members come in and they bring their lunch and we chat, and it's a very informal lunch and learn. So that's those always go over really well because it's members learning from members. And then we have different events actually coming up on October the 10th, I think, or 11th is our annual Oktoberfest, where yes, and Monica, who's at our North York location, is of a German background, so she goes all out and decorates, and we bring in, of course, beer, non-alcoholic beer, music, and lots of Dutch treats, or sorry, German treats, not Dutch treats, and then different events like pizza lunches, sweet and salty bars, where we have just put out food and tell people to come in the kitchen and gather just to grab some snacks. And sometimes it's just for a really quick visit. And other times, like the Oktoberfest is usually a good 2 hour kind of, we have a barbecue and all of that. So it's really fun to bring these social events into the spaces. We do it on a monthly basis. In Markham, we used to have a monthly networking lunch, or sorry, a weekly networking lunch. And then COVID happened. Of course, that died down. So I need to get that going again. Until then, it's a monthly networking lunch at the beginning of the month every Thursday. So we just come into the boardroom and very informal and just chat. So, and I'm always encouraging our members to, if they have any ideas for events, to run them as well. So we have the internal events, and then we ran a great event in the spring called Hive Connections, and hoping to do that again probably this fall, where we brought people from the public in to see our space and connect, having meaningful connections that way. We've got lots of events happening in our Eglinton location coming up October, November. That other Toronto Event Hub is coming in and doing an event. We have local artists coming in to display their beautiful artwork, and people can come in. Our members can enjoy their artwork as well as the public. So I think we've got so many great ideas. I'm actually working on a package for community building and programming that I can share with others, because sometimes it's hard to think about what kind of events should I run. So these are tried and tested and true. So it will be, I think, helpful to others to have these.
I just love how you're really, expanding on the whole concept of co-working and making it really a sense of community for people who really want to be a part of it. So appreciate that you shared so much about the co-working space. It is an idea that might work for some, and I think you've given a lot of food for thought for people who may be interested in co-working space. So what's next coming up for you?
Yeah, what's next? Well, oh, there's so much going on right now. I mean, I'm always open to collaboration. So I've got lots of collaborations kind of out there, and that's working with other businesses to bring new benefits to our members. So benefits that will help either them in their wellness journey or in their business. And as I alluded to before, I'm working at opening up some new spaces, helping. I have some meetings coming up to talk about opening space up or more co-working spaces, because I really love to do that. And just growing my team. Just this past month, I've hired somebody. I had a Seneca College marketing student who I've hired on part-time, and just trying to get that right balance of staff and figuring out, because we're just getting busier and busier. So
I
yeah, so
see you
there's
light up
lots
when
more
you're
to come.
talking about your growth and how you can really build that sense of community.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I still appreciate the time you spent with us. How do people get a hold of you, Charlotte?
So I can be reached via email, charlotte@thevillagehive.ca, or on our website. You can connect with any of our community managers at thevillagehive.ca.
Great. Well, thank you again for spending the time and sharing your knowledge and your expertise in this area. Really appreciated that.
Thanks so much for having me on here, Hilda. I'm so glad we made it happen.
Yes, a little bit later than we both expected, but I'm so glad that
We did it.
you did. Yes, we did it. We did it. And thanks to the listeners and viewers, I hope you learned something about co-working spaces today, and that you might consider it. And now you know somebody, if you're in the GTA area, who you can talk to about that. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in subscribing, please do so. And thank you for joining us on Rev Up Your Business. And keep going and make it a rev up your success and a rev up your leadership. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Business with Hilda Gann. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date with all of our latest episodes. For more HR tips, strategies, and to learn how you can create a people-centric workplace, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com.